successful retirees know the value of their time.
JP Morgan has a great visual on this. If we have an investor who started investing at, say, 25, invested to 35, just that 10 years, invested $200 a month, by the time they got to 65, they'd have $293,000. I mean, that's amazing, right?
Yep.
Especially when you think about they only put in $24,000.
I'll take that return any day. But what if we have somebody who started later in life? Say they started at the age of 35, but then invested all the way through the age of 65. You think they'd come out ahead,
They
right?
say for a lot longer, they're going to have more money.
Turns out they only have $250,000. So they have less money than somebody who invested for 10 years.
Even though they save more, they save 3 times as much and ended up with like $40,000 less.
So it's almost like that, we all think about when we're in our 20s, we know that money is just scarce. And so when you watch content like this and you're in your 20s and you're broke as a joke, you're like, why should I even start? This is kind of your motivation. It's because, yes, you might be broke, but even little sacrifices can create huge results, because your friend, if you think about it, if you flip the script and you said, okay, I'm going to procrastinate and wait until I'm in my 30s before I save and invest, it doesn't always get the same reward as just doing a little bit in the beginning. But Bo, Aaron, we know there's actually a better way. Instead of having to be an either or of somebody who says, hey, I'm young and I'm going to quit, or being the person that says, hey, I'm older, but I'm committed. What if there was somebody who said, let's get it in and let's just be consistent, automatic for the people and automate the process? What happens with that situation, Aaron?
If you stay invested from 25 to 65, investing that $200, you'd end up with nearly $600,000. Just $200.
It's unbelievable that if you can start early and you can stay consistent, it is so much better than the person that does either or. And so as we kind of looked at this study, there were some key takeaways that we want you to know. And the very first one is, you get to choose your hard. Because a lot of you are going to say, you've already alluded to this, Brian, man, I'm young, I'm in my 20s, and money's tight, and housing is expensive, and rent's expensive, and it's going to be difficult. But you can either choose, you can make life hard now and figure out how to save $20, or you wait until you're in your 50s and 60s, and then you have to make some really hard decisions to make up for not doing it earlier.
Well, and there's actually, I love our illustration because we always talk about the power of discipline. And this is the thing. Remember, I had that high school teacher that got me all excited because he made what seemed impossible seemed right in front of me and easy. Is that I had that high school teacher say if you could just save $100 a month, you'd be a millionaire. Well, we can see the data is for a 20-year-old, if you could just save $95 a month, you're on your path to being a millionaire. And so a lot of you guys are, like I said, you're 20, or you're in your 20s and you're broke as a joke. You're looking at this and you're going, okay, maybe I could do $100, but this is why we want to get you even more excited, because think about the 30-year-old. Yes, now that same thing that a 20-year-old had to save 95, the 30-year-old has to save $340. That's almost 4 times harder. That much more commitment. If you wait until your 40s, I'm over 40. You guys fortunately haven't crossed there yet, but so you still got time. But it is amazing that you'd have to save now $1,000 a month, $1,052 a month. That is 10 times harder than the 20-year-old. This is the power of exactly what we set up. You choose your heart. I know that you're broke in your 20s, but it doesn't take just pennies on the dollar literally will do more by putting that money to work.
And we have these stories that we tell ourselves. We say, oh, when I'm 30, I'll make more and it'll be easier. When I'm 40, I'll make more. It's not easier. You have kids, you have a house. Like life, it does not get easier. The money doesn't have more breathing room. Whatever you can save. Even you said, save $20. It doesn't matter if you can't hit 95. Save anything.
And we get it. Look, this is hard, but there are things that you can do, because the next takeaway that came from the JP Morgan piece was that you can sandpaper the friction. You can figure out, how do I remove the stuff that makes this hard? Maybe the way that you're going to save is you're just going to say, you know what? My employer says that if I put in X% of my pay, they're also going to put in X%. So at a minimum, I'm at least going to do that. I know no matter what, I'm going to avoid Starbucks. I'm not going to eat. I'm going to do whatever. I'm going to get my employer matched so that I can get my money working. If you can make the good habits as easy as possible, and then maybe make the bad habits as hard as possible. Maybe I'm not going to get a credit card yet, or maybe I'm only going to have one credit card, or maybe I'm not going to swipe for everything, or maybe I'm going to give myself a cooling off period, whatever that may be. If you can implement those strategies, you can set yourself up to make that hard decision early just a little bit easier.
Well, I always like the forced scarcity is you get pay raises, because I like that part where you said, make the good habits as easy as possible and the hard habits or the bad habits that much harder. When you get a pay raise, why not just go ahead and automatic for the people, set up a portion of 60% of that
Love
pay raise going towards investing. Now you've made it that much harder to get access to that money, but you've automatically set it up for wealth building. Man, I love a good forced scarcity plan.
And you said it right there, automatic. Make it automatic. Just set it up so it's a percentage of your pay. That way, even if your pay does increase, you're automatically contributing more total dollars, just automatic.
And then the other thing is, another key takeaway is, we want you to save early and often. I mean, that's kind of the whole headline of this piece, is that if you can start early and if you can stay consistent, you're going to set yourself up. But saving is only one part of it. You have to save, and then you actually have to put that money to work. Far too often, we see people who flex that muscle and they get the savings done and they live on less they make, and they just see their checking account get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. You actually have to put that money to work. And if you need some motivation on why you should do that and why you should have your money working for you, we have a great illustration, Brian. We talk about it all the time, called the wealth multiplier.
Yeah, I would encourage everybody, go to moneyguy.com/resources. You can also look at the wealth multiplier. And this does show kind of the math behind the backing of how does a 20-year-old turn a $95 investment into $1 million. It's because every dollar that comes into their control at 20 actually has potential to turn into $88 at retirement. For that 30-year-old, it's $23. For the 40-year-old, it's $7. A lot of you're like, I don't fit into those nice 5-year increments. What's my number? That's okay. That's why I would encourage you, go out to our website. We actually let you go to our wealth multiplier tool. You can play around with the calculators and see specifically for your age. It doesn't matter if you're 23, 37, 52, we're going to have your wealth multiplier so you can see how you maximize your opportunities.
I love your guys' wealth multiplier. I get so excited when I see that it's $88, but now that I hone in on 40 and I see that it's $7, I just wish I could have saved more.
You could have done more, right? Like, isn't that
Can I go back in time?
we say this all the time. The absolute best time to start investing was yesterday. So absent that, the second best time to start investing is right now today. So if you can figure that out and you can start early, you can set yourself up for success.